I know this is pretty much my 5th Bakugan video in a row. I just had so much to talk about. If you want more variety from me, check out my Kick, where I stream games I find on Nintendo Switch or Steam. There's a link in the description, so go follow me on there as well. This part will focus on factions and tag words. Keep in mind, I'm not going to go over every tag word because unlike the basic terminology, the tag words have reminder text instead of symbols, except Victor, but I talked about Victor in part 1. So this video is most likely the shortest of the bunch. Starting with factions, they are super important, and that's because they're listed on every card type and have exclusive bonuses on Bakugans. Bakugan come in 6 factions: Pyrus, Aquas, Darkus, Ventus, Chaos, and Aurelus. For the fans of the original series watching this, you'll notice Subterra is replaced with Aurelus, and that's because Spin Master doesn't own the rights to the faction. Sega Toys does. Pyrus is the attribute of fire, with their cards usually given energy, damage, and double strike, aside from being cheap cards for the most part. Aquas is the attribute of water, with their cards usually allowing the player to draw the top card of their deck. Outside of that, you got Frost Strike and Aqua's Hydrus from Armored Elite. I'm not saying that because I'm biased. Darkus is the attribute of darkness, with their cards mostly relying on discarding your opponent's hand or your own, which is a double-edged sword, but it's great if you have cards that suck. Ventus is the attribute of nature, with their cards usually relying on energy ramping. According to the Ventus power creep that's been going on since Secrets of the Geogon, it is considered to be the best faction in the game. Chaos is the attribute of light, with their cards based around core manipulation, like what I mentioned at the end of part 1. And finally, Aurelus is the faction of power with little to no card support, ironically. Because of the lack of card support, Aurelus is the worst faction in the game, aside from Bakugan like Aurelus Hydra White Ultra. Moving on to tag words, they do have reminder text, so you think me talking about them is pointless. However, some tag words aren't exactly clear, and some can even be manipulated. There's also unused tag words that we will get to as well. Starting with Flow, which is the tag word for Aquas, the text on the card is outdated, instead saying, if this is not the first card you play this turn. That's all I wanted to talk about for this one. Battle Mastery is the tag word for Aurelus. While you would normally choose one effect, the card Magnus Living Arm of Tico lets you choose both effects while in the field. So yes, it is possible to choose both effects. Aurelus Power is an extra keyword. I forgot to mention that all faction Bakugan exist. They don't count towards all factions really. For deck purposes, you may only choose one of the 6 factions, which is the faction the Bakugan counts as. So unless you select Aurelus, all faction Bakugan do not count towards Aurelus power. Sacrifice is the keyword for Darkus. While it normally has you discard a card, some cards can be played while discarded. The most infamous example is China Riot from Battle Brawlers. Fury is the tag word for Pyrus. While you would normally get a bonus effect, the card Fierce Termination forces you to trigger the effect on play. Rapid Fire is a tag word for Pyrus and Darkus. While it looks complicated for newer players, possibly, I don't know, think of it this way: every even rapid fire card you play is free. Unless you have Dragonoid Scare Supreme, then you'll play 2 rapid fire cards for free after you play your first one. The math is complicated with Skater Supreme, I'll admit. Sync is a tag word for Darkus and Aquas. The requirements for energy costs have to be the exact energy cost it says. You can't reveal a card that's above the cost to get the effect. Scrounge is a tag word for Darkus and Ventus. In terms of what you learned already, think of it as a combination of scan and sync. And finally, the unused tag words. Rally is a tag word for Aquas and Chaos. The effect would trigger if you had 3 or more hero cards on play. Technically, it's not unused, as a lot of cards have the same condition, just not under Rally. There's also Flex, which is the tag word for Darkus and Chaos. The effect would trigger if you have a card in play that costs 4 or more energy. Since you made it this far into the series, the next part is going to be the biggest part and the most important of the series. And it's pretty much the basic gameplay, like how it's laid out, how everything works. So you're going to want to stick for that one.